Hey everybody, this is Caroline, and we are doing self Reiki for self love. This sequence, this hand placement sequence that I'm going to offer you, is something that we can do together. And it's something that, if you like that sequence, that you can do on your own as well. Take a big breath in. So go ahead and begin by placing one hand right on the heart center. This is the heart chakra, right? And one hand up by the collarbone, right up here. So this is also covering the thyroid, some of our hormonal center part of it. And if you don't like touching your throat, or you're not able to, you can always, back off an inch or 3 inches, have your arm propped up on a table, right at the kitchen table. Don't feel like you have to suspend your arm. I've been doing this for a long time, so I can kind of hold my shoulders and my arms up. But feel free to use the support around you. If you feel comfortable letting your hands rest against the body, against the skin, go ahead. This is hand position 1. This is hand position 2 for self-love. Take a big breath in. And how I always like to activate my Reiki is go, Reiki, go. See if you can soften across your knuckles. Across the base of your hand, across the palm. See if you can soften across your feet. Just imagining. There you go. Yep, beautiful. You might be feeling your hands feel warm. They might feel tingly. You might feel nothing at all. I did daily self-treatment for 2 years before I felt anything. But I did feel the effects. I felt calmer. I used to have wild anxiety. We're going to go ahead and bring our hands. If you're feeling really called to staying here, you're welcome to stay in this hand position. I almost feel like my hand at my heart center, at my heart chakra, almost feels glued. It feels like it's pulling. What I'm feeling at my throat, at my thyroid, at my collarbone, as I'm sort of feeling the warmth sort of spread across, almost under the jaw. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to move to the base of the skull. This is one of my favorite hand positions for self-treatment because I hold so much tension here and here, and it extends to the shoulders. And so this is an area that I'm always, I know it's such a funny place to clench, right? But I clench here too. We all have our spots, but this is one of my favorite places. And it's okay if your fingers are spread out a little bit. It's okay if your fingers are cupping or if your fingers are together, you can't do this wrong. This position might be more comfortable for you laying down. Okay, so just get comfortable. For those of you who are keeping their arms up, just remember that it's not all in the shoulders. You can kind of squeeze the muscles of the back a little bit, like not a 100% squeeze, but like a 30% squeeze to kind of give your shoulders a little bit more power. We're using the larger muscles to support everything that's happening up here. There you go. The idea is that we find as much relaxation even when we are gently using our muscles. We help the Reiki flow a little bit easier that way. There you go. You got it. Yeah. I just saw some of you be like, oh, got it. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, that's how it's done. And I'm sort of sitting up straight so it looks a little nicer on video. But if you're feeling like, oh, I just want to lay back, go ahead and do that. Go ahead and do that. Half of this life is releasing the picture perfect idea of how we should be. There you go. Beautiful. Yeah. And what I'm feeling is almost all of this. It doesn't feel like warmth because I'm not feeling the heat per se, but I'm feeling this energy move down these big muscles of the neck and the shoulders. And it's weird, it's hard to describe, but I'm almost feeling this kind of energy between my hands and the base of my skull, the sides of my neck. Because I'm not resting directly like this. Sometimes I am like flush like this, but right now I'm almost creating a little bit of spaciousness between. Beautiful. So I'm kind of feeling this between my hands and my body. And I'm also really feeling the energy move almost into my brain. It feels like that place of the brain stem. It feels like it's going in. I'm very sensitive to energy. You might not feel any of this stuff. For those of you who have experienced sciatica or issues with your sciatic nerve, or a kind of a clenching very deep into the muscles of the glutes and psoas and this whole kind of the deep hips, those big muscles. Sometimes you can feel that it's not surface level. You can almost feel how deep it is. And so sometimes it feels, when I'm feeling the energy, sometimes it feels like it's a little closer to the surface or moving across the skin. And sometimes when I'm talking about feeling it kind of go almost into the brain stem, those are the kind of movements of the energy that I'm feeling. we're going to go ahead and move under the jaw. You might prefer to do it this way. So you might hold your jaw. And you might feel like you want to just gently let your arms rest on the table in front of you. You might have your knees propped up if you're a little bit more flexible. You might keep your arms suspended. That's okay. So the whole idea is that we're not pushing into our jaw, that we're just kind of resting on these muscles underneath the ear, right? These are all kind of the muscles of the neck, but we want to aim towards the jaw. If you're anything like me, a lot of my self-love blockages, right? A lot of the places where I don't allow the self-love tend to be like, it's like, you should know better, you should do better, like hold myself up to higher standards. Like, those are the processes, those are the mental and emotional patterns that I release. And I hold a lot of my tension across, like I was saying, here, and it extends here. So it's funny when we're talking about this idea of the hand positions for self-love, because I store a lot of my self-anger, self-hatred. I know that sounds like a very strong word, but like, if we're talking about the spectrum of self-love or self-hatred, right? Like, sometimes I have to remember that, like, if it falls into that category, why am I doing that? Why am I doing that? Why am I allowing that thought or that feeling more airtime? But what happens subconsciously is that these are the sort of mechanical patterns that extend from those mental and emotional feelings, right? Our bodies reflect those mental and emotional patterns. So if you're anything like me, these patterns for self-love, right? So I'm kind of just doing the same position, just crossing over. There is no difference. It's just kind of how my guides are flashing the image to me, how to offer this for my self-treatment. It's a little bit more loving when I'm holding myself, right? When I'm like cupping my jaw, it feels a little bit cozier, a little bit more intimate. This is a little bit more wide open. It's big-hearted, right? It's like, which is great too. But as my guides are expressing, this is the same hand position, but there's ways that we can kind of do it cozy too. There's ways that we can physically offer love to ourselves, like a hug for our jaw, right? Perfect. Yeah. And if this is too much for your shoulders, feel free to relax. And if I'm sitting on like an armchair here, and my legs are crisscross, but you can rest your hands on your knees, and you can beam. So my hands are here, beaming up here as well. So if you're not able to lift your arms for a long period of time like I'm showing you, please adapt. I'm going to keep holding my hands up here. And, I'm a Reiki teacher, and my goal is to help you find ways to do this work that are good for you. I teach you my way, but my goal is to help you understand that there's a lot of ways that you can do the same thing. I like to use the metaphor of when you hand a child crayons and paper. Some kids hold the crayon like this and they just get it so dark and waxy. And some kids like neatly color within the lines. Some people begin to draw their family and the sun and their house. Some little kids will draw their monsters. There are no rules when you hand a child a crayon and a piece of paper. Some kids eat it. Some kids snap them in half, right? Like, there's no rules. There's no rules. You might have come from a family that said, don't do that, right? But the truth is that when you hand a child a paper and crayons, it's like, do what you want to do. Like, here's the tools. It's very similar with how I offer my lessons with Reiki. I want you to feel comfortable and confident that you can do it your way. This is why we do these kind of extended self-treatment videos together. I do this with my classroom too, with my students. So we'll all be in a circle and I'll be kind of guiding the self-treatment process. And sometimes I open my eyes and everybody's doing different stuff. And I love that. Because my goal is to help you feel comfortable to do it your way. So if your mechanical patterns of self-anger are at the jaw and at the back of the head and at the heart center, please do the heart center for self-love. When we open that flower up to more and more compassion, our worlds can change. I can't. So please, if you're feeling that your self-love patterns are at your hips, your low back, your tummy, go for it. But please make sure you focus on the heart center as well. You might find that this is the only spot you work on, and that's 100% okay. All right, my friends, I love you so much. I'm so excited to continue learning and teaching Reiki with you. As you can hear, I'm a little bit stuffy today. So I'm going to continue with my sinuses and my eyes and sides of the head and throat as well. For my little kind of cold symptoms, but I still wanted to show up here for you today. I have so much love for you, and please let me know if you have any questions in the comment or how this helped you, or if you just want to show a little bit of love back. All right, I'm looking forward to continuing sending Reiki videos out for you. All right, be well.